Island-Powell River.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is really happening in Canada. The poorest seniors in our whole country are losing their ability to support themselves. Just to be clear, and so that all Canadians understand, single seniors receiving the guaranteed income supplement make an income of just over $19,000 a year. Those who are couples make just over $25,000. Regardless of what part of Canada they live in, they are below the poverty line. My office is hearing from seniors across Canada. They are scared, they are desperate and afraid. A few have come forward to share very personal stories, to express their concern and the realities they are facing. I want to point out their tremendous bravery. Mr. Speaker, they are terrified that by speaking out, that their voices will mean that they are punished further. I certainly hope that this minister is listening. I just received an email yesterday, Mr. Speaker, from a 71-year-old senior. He was working. He applied for pandemic relief because he was no longer working due to the pandemic. Now his GIS has been cut off, and recently he has been diagnosed with cancer. Mr. Speaker, the reality is he cannot afford the medication he needs for his treatment. He is also facing eviction on December the 23rd. I hope the minister puts that in her calendar. A 71-year-old senior in this country, sick with cancer, homeless on the 23rd of December, this month. This is what is happening to an estimated 88,000 seniors across the country, according to the PBO's report. It is one story of far too many. I've heard the Prime Minister and ministers say in this House, we are working on it. But I'm here to say that is not good enough. This is a crisis. When the most vulnerable are seeing their lives go up in smoke, they don't know where they're going to live. They don't know what's going to happen to their health and well-being. How can we ask them to wait? For me, this is about a bar of dignity. All of us as Canadians saying collectively, this is the bar. And if we see anyone fall below it, we're going to stand up and we're going to say that is too far and we must do better. So imagine my shock when I heard the Minister of Employment, Workforce Development and Disability Inclusion in response to a media question on this issue say, quote, "It is a more complicated issue than one would think because there's serious kinds of fairness and equity issue for people who may have earned similar amounts in employment income. If a senior worked last year and made an equivalent amount, they too would have lost their GIS and had their GIS potentially reduced. So we're working on a path forward that recognizes this," end quote. So it appears for this government, the bar of dignity needs to be lowered more. May I remind this House again, single seniors receive just over $19,000 a year and couples just over $25,000. May I also remind this House that these seniors were working, and when the pandemic happened, this was the only source of the help that they could receive. Is it the plan of the government to punish the poorest? Because it certainly appears to be. A plan to punish the poorest and protect the rich, like big corporations who have received tremendous taxpayer dollars and wage subsidies and then given their shareholders significant payouts. Here's a quote from the Globe and Mail. Perhaps this will help the minister understand. Beyond a handful of hedge funds, some of the largest wealthy managers in the country, household names such as Franklin Templeton, CI Financial, Gluckskin Sheff and Associates, collected the wage subsidy. Collectively, these three companies manage close to $110 billion of assets in Canada. The Scotiabank Hedge Funds Index, which measures the monthly performance of Canadian domiciled hedge funds with assets under management of at least $15 million, shows an average return of 11% in 2020, the best year for the industry in the decade. Mr. Speaker, this government owes the seniors some respect.
The Honourable Minister of Seniors.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and allow me to thank the honourable member for her question, and of course want to congratulate her on her new role, on her re-election, and certainly on her role as the shadow minister for seniors. And of course, Mr. Speaker, before I begin to respond to my honourable colleague's question, allow me to briefly take a moment to thank the people of and my constituents of Brampton West who re-elected me once again to this House for the third time as their voice, and I'll continue to fight for the priorities that matter to them. Allow me to briefly also thank my volunteers and supporters who made it possible, and of course my family and friends who've always had my back. Being my community's voice in Parliament is truly the greatest privilege of my life. And as the new Minister of Seniors, I look forward to working with the Honourable Member and indeed all members of this House to find the best ways to serve Canada's seniors and to ensure the most vulnerable get the support that they need. Mr. Speaker, my connection to seniors is a very personal one. During the pandemic, I volunteered to go back to my roots as a registered nurse, spent my time on the front lines vaccinating healthcare workers, vaccinating community members in my community, and standing alongside the Canadian Armed Forces who came into a long-term care community in my city of Brampton, which was one of the hardest hit long-term care homes in my province. And Mr. Speaker, the experiences I had there remind me every day to continue to fight for those most vulnerable. Mr. Speaker, the health and social well-being of seniors across Canada has been a top of mind for many. The financial situation for seniors has also been a challenge. But when it comes to supporting seniors, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of the record to date. Mr. Speaker, one of the first things we did as a government when we got elected in 2015 is to reduce the eligibility of OAS back to 65 from 67. The Conservatives had attempted to raise the age of retirement and take money out of the pockets of Canadians who need retirement benefits to make ends meet. We enhanced the CPP in a historic way that was mirrored by QPP. We strengthened the OAS and raised the GIS for single seniors, which made a real difference in the lives of many seniors. For immediate support, Mr. Speaker, during the pandemic, we provided a one-time $500 payment for older seniors this year, and we will be increasing OAS by 10% for those 75 and older next year. The historic increase will be the first real increase in decades beyond inflation increases. This will make a difference for older seniors as they live longer and as their needs increase, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Canadians re-elected a government on a bold, ambitious plan which will help seniors who need it the most. I look forward to working with all members of this House in delivering on this ambitious agenda. Mr. Speaker, I think we can all certainly agree that this pandemic has been certainly challenging for many seniors, but every step of the way, Mr. Speaker, our government has been there to support seniors, especially those most vulnerable. We moved very quickly to provide immediate and direct financial support to seniors. Every year, seniors across Canada benefit from programs and funding our government provides for seniors through the New Horizons for Seniors program. I'm extremely excited to announce this year's call for proposal for NHSP is now open, and I encourage all members to apply. And when it comes to the CERB and GIS issue, Mr. Speaker, and I want to remind the honourable member once again, as I mentioned earlier, we're aware of this issue. We know it has been hard on some seniors this year, and I can assure the honourable member that we're working on this issue to find the right solution to support those that are affected. Thank you.
The honourable member for North Island-Powell River.
Mr. Speaker, I definitely respect the member's role as a healthcare provider and the work that she may have done. But I do not understand in any way how this member is proud of her government right now. I know that the member's riding has less than 8% seniors living there, but there are many seniors across this country that are in a total point of crisis. They are going to lose their homes. They are being evicted right now. They cannot afford their medication, which means they're in and out of the hospital because they're getting sicker. Seniors use their pandemic funds to fix their cars, fix their teeth, pay off a little bit of debt. This is so wrong that we're punishing the poorest while we're rewarding the wealthiest. This should not be a debate in this House. I am totally embarrassed that it is. This government needs to do better by the seniors who built this country. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, as I mentioned, I think we can all agree just how challenging this pandemic has been on seniors, especially the most vulnerable seniors. But every step of the way, Mr. Speaker, our government has been there to support seniors by strengthening their GIS, by ensuring that they have the supports and services that they need, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to CERB GIS, and as I reminded the honourable colleague earlier, I understand that it has been hard on some seniors this year, and I can assure the honourable member that this is something that is a priority for me. We're working actively on this file right now, and we're going to be there to support those most vulnerable as we've always have been. Thank you.